I just beat Donkey Kong Country, and I just want to talk and spew all about it. I've beaten this game before, by the way, but it's been a couple years, and I was very pleasantly surprised that on my return, I didn't use any save states or rewinds, and I kept the whole thing very kosher. I played it on Nintendo Switch Online, but I don't have an SNES or access to the cartridge, so please don't yell at me, I guess, or do, and drop a comment and scream at me, because it helps me in the algorithm. But I really want to talk about the presentation of this game. Now, looks-wise, the game, in my opinion, is absolutely stunning. It's really impressive that somehow they got 3D graphics onto the SNES, and they honestly look better than the actual 3D graphics on the N64. F*** the N64, for real. N64 Donkey Kong sucks Heiny, Chad. It's not good. But honestly, it really just looks fantastic, and I've said this before, but something about the SNES graphical style is absolutely gorgeous. I think the 16-bit era might have aged the best out of literally any other era, and maybe that's just because of the huge indie boom right now, and a lot of those games going for a pixelated look, but holy shit, I love it. Now, the story isn't much. It's just a simple Donkey Kong story where Donkey Kong wants his bananas back from King K. Rool, so he has to platform a bunch and beat up the other bad guys that King K. Rool hires to get him back. Like, it's just every Donkey Kong story ever. Listen, if you're playing Donkey Kong for the plot, I don't know what you're doing, okay? It's like, you just gotta do it for the gameplay, right? So diving into the gameplay, I want to get the bad stuff out of the way first, okay? I fucking hate this. Just kidding. I don't hate the game at all. But sometimes I do think that the platforming isn't very tight, and Donkey Kong often, to me, feels slippery. Like, I will think I land somewhere, and I'm just off. Somehow I just leave. Somehow Donkey Kong just slips his little way off. And it's, like, annoying because for a moment, you hit there, and you're there, and then you just, beep, and then you die. And, like, dying in this game isn't like, oh, it's fine, I just restart at the level. It's like, no, if you die before you're able to save, that's 4 levels that you have to go back and beat. Like, it's very frustrating. And there's ways to sort of cheese it and to save and all that stuff, and I started really using that. But in the beginning, a lot of times I found myself getting really frustrated with that, because I was like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm going to go through this whole thing one more time because Donkey Kong accidentally slipped off the side because he's ate too many bananas. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating. And everyone's going to be like, I know, it's a skill issue, but seriously, what is wrong with you? It's not. It's just how it was. Like, you watch all my streams. I feel like I did it pretty okay, and, like, at least I beat the game, okay? People, like, screaming at me, you beat it 30 years ago and you haven't played it since, okay? Swear to God. But, like I said, I think that slipperiness a lot of times will just lead to unfair death. And also the hitboxes. Oh my God, the hitboxes. They make me so angry. So you will think you totally clear a thing, and, like, looks-wise, your pixel does not hit the other one, but for some reason, their hitbox is a little outside their sprite design or something, and you just die. And you're like, what the hell? Or other times, it actually is kind of nice, because it's like, oh my God, I hit that thing, and pixels are, like, overlapping, and for some reason, you don't die. It's just, I like a little consistency here. I feel like it's always different, and I feel like it led, again, to a lot of cheap deaths. And that's something that, like, just happens with, like, the first iteration of something, right? So, like, maybe it'll get better in the future games that I play, and I will play all of them, so make sure you subscribe, because I'm gonna play literally all of the Donkey Kong games, Donkey Kong Country. Going forward, I'm making a huge big video about that at the end as well, and I stream all of that live, so just stick around, subscribe. But yeah, the hitboxes, it's like, it's super frustrating. I'm like, what are we saying here? Because it truly, to me, in a lot of ways, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So there were, like, those main 2 things that really annoyed me about this game, but the rest of it was fantastic. And I have only good things to say, and I swear to you, I really did like this game. I just did want to tell you guys some of my frustrations immediately, because I feel like, you know, a lot of times when people are covering games, they like to gloss over the things that they didn't like. And I feel like that has some, you know, reason to exist. And if you don't like something, you should be able to say why. And if you can back it up with evidence as to why you don't like it or why you feel a certain way, I feel like there's really no harm in expressing that. So that's why I did it. And I hope that's fine with you guys. I don't really know. But like I said, I didn't use any save states or rewinds at all, even though every single time I died in the game, my chat just absolutely felt the need to remind me that I can, in fact, just rewind. I would have saved probably hours on ends, but I just wanted to experience this as true to the original, as, you know, like maybe some of you guys growing up did, as possible, okay? That's why. And like I said, there is still so much good here. The level design is honestly top notch, and it was extremely satisfying to beat each level, especially the ones where I was stuck on them for hours. It was just that sense of achievement that I honestly really appreciated. And that sense of achievement after, you've had hours and hours of frustration is something I think that Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze captures really well. And that's a reason I love to play these older games, because I feel like, especially that aspect of it, in a lot of ways has been taken away from newer experiences. That's why I appreciate what Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze has been able to do by bringing that back in a lot of ways. And, we'll probably get to that in like a few months. And before I forget to mention it, I absolutely adore the music. It's fabulous. It's just fantastic. Every single element to it is just really great, and it has such a good vibe that I think really encapsulates the feeling of the game, Like, I can't imagine if the music wasn't there. Like, I feel like it really just adds to the whole atmosphere of it, sells you on the location, sells you on this is like a new sort of world level type deal, I really loved it. Fits the environments always, and it absolutely slaps. It's a banger. And actually, there's one more bad thing, and it's not bad, but there's one more thing that I sort of, didn't love, and that's the boss fights. They weren't bad, but I feel like a lot of them were just too easy. And which, to be honest, at sometimes I didn't really mind, because I wasn't able to save before going in, and I just beat 4 other levels in a row that all sucked and had me crying and upset and rage quitting. So it was at times nice, but looking back and thinking about, doing the, seeing the bosses again and how the actual boss fight was, obviously aside from the final boss fight with King K. Rool, they weren't very memorable at all, and they weren't very challenging. Which I think is kind of random, because this game is seemingly all about challenge. But those are my gripes. But the good is obviously the creativity with the platforming, which I think they absolutely nailed. The different environments that you go into all feel so different and unique and distinct, and it feels like you're really there. Like, that challenge it provides, it makes you really earn your way through each and everything. I think I ended up spending about 8 hours on this game in total, maybe a little bit less. And I did that whole thing on stream again, which was really fun. And there's just a lot of times, when you're so to the nail, you're having such a hard time, you're really forcing yourself to get through this, and that final moment where you actually do get through things is so exciting. It's so much fun. It's like you feel euphoric for a second. It's just so nice. And this is a game that started it all, right? It came out in 1994. It began the Donkey Kong franchise that we know and love to this day. We wouldn't have games like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze without where it has come from with Donkey Kong Country. And I'm really excited to go on to play Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. I love the platforming. Is very, very solid. I loved just, I guess, the overall fun factor I was having it. The enemy variety was also great. There was always something new to be doing and defeating, and you had to think in different ways to solve these different enemies. The moveset of Donkey Kong is always great, with both, bouncing on the top of their heads and that barrel roll move that you can use. I also figured out sort of close to the end that you could, pound the ground, and I know you can do that in Donkey Kong Country, and that will, incapacitate the enemies. I never really successfully did it on an enemy in this game, but I guess we'll try and see if it's in Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3. And I will, again, be doing all of that live on stream, so make sure you subscribe to check those out. But overall, I'm going to give this game a solid 8.7 out of 10. I think it's really good, high B, B+, right? There's some room for improvement, but overall, very fun. A great first addition to the franchise, and I really understand why so many people hold these games as some of the best on the SNES, because I think they absolutely are. I love this game, and I will see you guys in this video. It's a banger, it's a vibe, it's a good time. Check that one out. Hope you guys liked it. Sorry if this was too negative, because honestly, I really did enjoy it, but there were some parts about it that frustrated me, and I feel like I should be able to express those to you guys. That's why I did it in this way, but as a whole, absolutely adored the game. Pronouns!